Hello and welcome back to video number 5 of my Paradox Interactive Historical Playthrough Mega Series playing Crusader Kings 3 in my England to America series, where we are playing as the precursors of the United States of America as represented by their historical ancestors here in England, in Britain, the British, because America was originally, well, parts of America were originally a British colony, so we're focused a lot on England. This is the 5th segment in Crusader Kings and the 5th video in the entire series. I'm Admiral Jedi. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to go through a couple of inaccuracies so far, where the game has ended up not quite accurate with historical timeness. And the biggest one is England still owns Normandy, and that was lost to France during the reign of King John. Unfortunately, I cannot do anything about this. I have tried to get rid of it. I cannot release my vassal to independence because they are a de jure vassal, whatever that means. Well, I know what it means, I just don't know why you can't release them to independence. Like, could I not, for example, release this person to independence? Nope. Okay. And what's gone on is Normandy has de jure drifted into the English kingdom, so we're kind of stuck with it. I suppose France could wage proactive war against me, but they just kind of don't. So that is a little bit of a bummer. And then the other thing, inaccuracies, is there's some kind of smatterings of land here that I also can't release to vassals to independence because they're like Weiss and Lancaster are all officially de jure vassals of mine. What I think's going to happen is this one here. You can see I've got a notice saying that this guy, we're going to lose all Lancaster realms when he inherits the Kingdom of Tuscany, which is looking like it's going to happen. And so really what will happen is this segment will be lost as well as Lancaster, and then I can just do a de jure war to reclaim that. In terms of Weiss, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. And then the other thing is we still have a little bit too much land here in the Gascony area. So that's about it for historical inaccuracies. Let's get started with where we're headed, and we are going to spend the rest of this video talking about the 100 Years' War. Okay, the year is 1327. England is ruled, historically accurately, by King Edward III. He does not have an heir yet. We're working on that, right? Wife and queen, we're working on that, I hope. And so Edward III's reign was split during this time between focus of the north to south, or focus on the north to Scotland, and focus in the south to France. Now, following Edward II, his father's humiliating defeat at Bannockburn by Robert the Bruce, Scotland gained a lot of their land and independence back, and Edward III, wanting to be a lot like his grandfather, Edward I Longshanks, revisited warfare in Scotland. And what went on here is that Scotland, being ruled by the Bruces, Robert the Bruce, made enemies of the Balliol clan, and that was sort of their like long-term rivals. And so the Balliols ended up trying to press their claim against Scotland with Edward III, who did support them, but asked for significant portions of the country to be ceded to him in the southeast. So I didn't do any of that in the game, but instead I'm going to make that as an excuse, like, hey, look, that's exactly how it worked out. Oh, not quite, right? So currently my brother is I don't know who King Edward II the Old is. It's not my father. That I'm pretty sure. So we could, why am I talking about my brother? Yeah, that's right. We could declare some wars here on Scotland and seize only the Duchy of Lothian, which is owned by not my brother, my uncle. Okay. But I'm like, you know what? This is the 100 Years' War. Obviously, well, Scotland was involved in the 100 Years' War. Okay. But why don't we just go ahead and call Scotland at an end, at least for Crusader Kings 3 segment. And let's focus entirely on France. Now, Edward, it is said, was very significantly focused on foreign affairs and not terribly focused on domestic affairs. So we're going to do that. We have his diplomacy learning set. I have foreign affairs as his major focus. That's how we're going to simulate that as best as we can. Okay, let's set up the 100 Years' War. Now, I've done some research on this. I'm not an expert. If I get some stuff wrong, as always, please correct me. So Flanders was a major mercantile area in the wool trade. You know, like reselling wool, making wool garments, all that sort of thing. England was a major provider of wool, so there was a lot of shipping of wool to Flanders. Flanders also had strong connections to the Netherlands, okay, which does not really exist as a nation. It's part of the HRE. And there was strife between these two areas. Flanders, being very dependent on England for its wool, kind of sided with England to help them ask for their help and protection in their growing disagreements with the Netherlands. And the Netherlands, being basically the neighbor of France, right, ended up siding with, or seeking French protection. So Edward III ended up embargoing wool to the Netherlands, which caused even further conflict, and then like merchant burghers, burghers, kind of rose up in the Low Countries and resisted, and there was military strife, and then basically that escalated into full-on warfare. Okay. In 1337, which we're not quite there yet, England declared war against their French proxies in a war that was called the 100 Years' War, and would in fact kind of last for centuries. There was never any official ending to the 100 Years' War, and in fact, it was only formally recognized as even being over in the year 1802, okay? So there was never a formal, there were a few like midway peace treaties signed occasionally when you know, fighting stopped, but the 100 Years' War was never actually declared over until 1802. Now, one of the things I'm going to try to do is get in good with the Duchy of Flanders. Okay, so we're going to try and simulate that. I don't think... Okay, so this gal's married already, but once she has kin, we're going to try and do a marriage alliance with Flanders to simulate what's happening in the 100 Years' War. So let's fast forward to 1337 while we do some of that setup. So we're about 5 years too early, but I allied with this Duke of Flanders, like I said I was going to. And now he's supporting Queen Clemencia, who is my mother. Apparently she's got a claim on the Empire of Francia. So we're going to join that and consider this the beginning of the 100 Years' War. Now, what I've made a priority is raising longbowmen, huge numbers of them. We have maxed out longbowman size and 2 units of them. Longbowmen won the 100 Years' War. Well, I mean, technically England lost the 100 Years' War, but they were a deciding force, winning battle after battle after battle. The major battle that was won around this time was the Battle of Crecy, which was fought near Calais. Where is Calais? I'm clicking around here. I thought it was like right in here. Yep, there it is. Okay. South of Calais, so I believe it's in kind of this area here. Now, there is a Crecy, but it's way not near here. And so I think that this is not it. It's down here. I'm pretty sure this is not it. The Crecy was a lot closer to Calais. And in that battle, the English fielded 16,000 troops in that battle and lost only 200, while the French fielded 35,000 troops and lost 14,000. Now, one author wrote of the English longbowmen during this battle, they shot their arrows with such force and quickness that it seemed as if it snowed. And so that is what we are going to try to do in this first opening battle in the 100 Years' War. So let's get ourselves ready to go on the continent here, even though a naval landing... Well, you know what? Let's just simulate it. A naval landing was made. So let's get armies raised and march to France! Ooh, we are almost set up for a historically accurate battle in the Calais area. Again, I think Crecy was down here, so it's not going to be too terribly historically accurate. But let's get the Zerg machine going, man. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. What do you got? Huh? What do you got? You want to get in there? Do some historically accurate battling with me? Huh? Huh? Oh, oh! Yeah, here it comes! Woohoo! Let the longbows rain! Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow! Alright. Oh, this guy wants to take a little bit too. Oh, hey, no, I got you, bro. Let's go. Huh? Meet the longbow. Okay, so, historically accurate battle. Again, it wasn't the Battle of Crecy. But I'm feeling pretty good. We have historically accurate battle and a historically inaccurate war. But whatever. So 95%. I think these guys are going to capture like some territory here and punch it to 100. And so then we got a ba-ba-ba-ba. And naturally the little scoundrel in robes. Okay, whatever. There we go. So I don't really get anything for this. The only victory that Edward won for the entire first section of the 100 Years' War and the Battle of Crecy was Calais. This county here, or this, actually even not a county, but barony, right? So I haven't figured out really a good way to get that. I've allied with this guy. I've got a claim on it. I don't even know if I could declare war right away for it. But anyway, so we're going to figure out how to get Calais eventually. But I don't know. That was kind of fun. All right, first opening salvo with a historically accurate battle in the 100 Years' War. Let's keep going. Even though the Black Death did not strike until around 1346, we can never game-wise know if and when it's going to hit. I think that this graphic comes up for any apocalyptic style of plagues. So we'll take a look at this for just a minute. This is it, apocalyptic levels. I've had one or two already. I don't think ever the Black Death. So we're going to kind of pretend like this is the Black Death so we can talk about it. We'll do desperate measures. And a failure. That's I just got done saying this will not happen again. Do you understand me? Apparently she didn't understand me, but whatever. And again, the time, 1324, is a little bit wonky, but I wanted to record this so we can talk about the Black Death. The Black Death killed 1/3 of the population of Europe. 1/3. That is a huge... I had no idea we even had property up here. That is a huge number of people. And in addition to all the obvious consequences of 1/3 of the population of a huge landmass dying, there were some interesting social consequences that really changed Europe forever. And so we'll talk about those just real quick right now. And if you think about it, if 1/3 of the population just died, they were gone. Not only would that be fearsome and terrible, and people were freaking out and thinking it was the end of the world, but the people did eventually recover. And what they would find is there were houses that were empty, there were jobs that were empty, there were fields that were empty. Now, I certainly don't encourage 1/3 of a population being killed for any reason. However, it did allow people to become quite socially mobile, because they could plant fields that they didn't have before, and work jobs that they didn't have before, and buy houses that they didn't have before. And so the people who lived through it really kind of took a new look at everything. Why are we serving the people in this brainless, mindless way that we used to? Could we perhaps do something new? Why are we obligated to work the fields for somebody who is dead? Why don't we work those fields ourselves? And so the Black Death not only really saw the death of people, but really saw the death of feudalism in general. I talked in the previous video about how the charters and the provisions and the precursors to Parliament really kind of did away with a lot of feudalistic structures, but the Black Death really kind of put the nail in the coffin. And it was where and when really all the strong social and democratic movements kind of hit their, not their stride, because they weren't, it was still a couple hundred more years before they really broke in. But really it was the origin of it. So we cannot underestimate how transformative the Black Death really was toward Europe. So that's all I'm going to really talk about it for now. And it's recorded time-wise this year, 1324. Really, frankly, I was just getting myself caught up. And so, as you may have seen from the video earlier, the video started later than this. So yes, this is me cheating and kind of recording a little bit. But I just had a chance to record an apocalyptic plague and wanted to do that so we could talk about the Black Death. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Oh, see, it might not even spread that far. So there you go. Black Death, plague. 1/3 of the people died. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to link you to the weirdest YouTube video I've ever seen, where it's a woman singing a song to, I think it's Gwen Stefani's Hollaback Girl, but it's all about the Black Death. Ooh, fleas on rats, fleas on rats. I got to thank one of my teacher friends for sharing that with me. So there you go. Black Death lore. If you clicked through on that and watched it, I'm going to apologize. Sorry. Uh-oh, I was wrong. We did not miss the Black Death. Here it is, and here it comes. So, we already talked about it quite a bit. I'm just kind of interested in seeing how quickly it spreads. So, it's looking pretty scary. Here it comes. Sure. Alright, so it's pretty brutal. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit and see what kind of terrible tragedy it brings. Man, it is going quick. My previous run through this area as the Seljuks and eventually the Ottomans and the Sultanate of Rum, they would have been wiped out by the Black Death at this point. It's terrible. Alright, so I'm just keeping it on normal gameplay speed here. So you can see it is coming quick. Alright, we're gonna start losing some people here. Yep, he sees it. No, we need to send them away. Alright, let's just keep watching. Uh-oh. 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 Am I gonna die? Okay. Are all my kids gonna die? Probably. Man, look at this. It is everywhere. I don't know if we should show Duchess anybody in. Like, I think everybody needs to stay out. The Black Death. Here it is. 1347. I think we're pretty much right on target, actually. Alright, we should be looking at significant losses at this point. Yeah, alright, let's get this plague resistance up here. Okay, we've got an excellent court physician. Alright, let's keep watching. Oh, it's on the island. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it is spread all throughout Europe, Asia. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, this is my first time seeing it. Alright, it is everywhere. Alright, let's fast forward and see what kind of damage it's really gonna do. I mean, okay. Yikes, look at that. That's wild. Alright, we got all these other events going on. Let's just, I've got to handle up. So let's fast forward and see what happens. And, okay, so didn't isolate. Just been kind of hunkering down. Oh, I was just about to say, not a single one of my kids has gotten it. Okay, except Edward, my heir. So that is going to offer a little bit of a challenge here, because Edward was also known as the Black Prince, and he dies. Now, he's going to die too soon. We'll go ahead and do drastic measures. Oh, and he lost the bubonic plague. Hey, it wasn't that big of a deal. So the Black Death has literally claimed none of my relatives at this point, whereas I've had a minor plague, as you've seen in, I think, the previous video, like, wipe out my entire family. So, a little confusing. And basically, you can watch it kind of chunking down here, right? All the different, I mean, it's, you know, it's still around, but you can see it disappearing off the map. I don't know why I'm focused on Turkey still, sorry. You can see it disappearing off the map. You can see it going down from my domain and realm infections, and basically the Black Plague is going away. I mean, there's been lots of fatalities. Of course, there's a lot more fatalities than that in real life. But for whatever reason, and, you know, I mean, I'm kind of glad. It's worth talking about historically, but, you know, I'm sure it could have screwed me up real bad. So for whatever reason, it just didn't touch me at all. So, again, kind of glad about that. One thing that did happen, completely unrelated, and I'm seeing all these factions come up here, is a French Catholic faction rose up, and I basically gave them everything. So we're somewhat historically accurate. We should have Calais at this point. We don't. And then if Edward the Black Prince survives, which it looks like he's going to, we are going to wage our second set of wars against France to try and capture the Duchy of Aquitaine. So that's coming up. But anyway, Black Death, bye-bye. Year 1357, and I was going to send Edward the Black Prince into Francia to wage some war here. And then my mother died, and I inherited the entire empire. So everything's gone completely sideways, of course. And you can see I'm not even England anymore. I'm Francia. And Normandy is way up here, and the map has basically just turned to complete barf. So, yay, right? So what I'm going to try to do, besides ignoring like the million messages that I have right now, is I'm going to try to, well, actually hit the save button, first of all. Okay, cool. And so I love it. Now we're not even England anymore. I'm going to try to undo this mess, and we're going to try and release vassals as best as we can. I'm curious on how we can do that. Alright, so this guy, I'd really like to keep Calais, but let's see who I have as my vassals, right? I mean, aren't all these kings my vassals now? Yeah. So, let's just see what I can do. You know what? We saved it. Fine. Can we release him to independence? No. Okay. Alright. What about Aquitaine? Aquitaine. Can we release him to independence? No. Burgundy. Yes. Okay. I'd like to do that, at least. Okay. Off you go. Alright. Alright. What did that do? Scotland? Like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's all just weird. I don't even know how to get rid of all this stuff. I really don't. Except, like, hoping they rebel against me or something like that. Wants to install King Gilbert on the French throne. You know, I'm totally all about that, brother. I really am. Like, bring on the rebellion. Just give me my England back. I just hate that it's blue. I feel so dirty. Oh, and I don't have... Okay, and everyone's gone. Yeah, because I'm an emperor level at this point. Alright, gotta just try and clean this up. Okay, we're just trying to put things back to normal and get rid of this empire. I've jacked up my... my tyranny as much as I possibly can, and have this guy wanting to take the Empire of Francia, and I'm just gonna give it to him. So when it's like, hey, we demand that you give it to me, I'm just gonna say, I guess I have no choice. So I become a vassal of King Gilbert. Now that's historically accurate. The French king did consider the English to be a vassal of theirs. In fact, it's what really caused one of the major causes of the 100 Years' War. So let's say I have no choice. Yay, we're red again. Okay, cool. Things are looking pretty spiffy. So again, France is officially my liege at this point. Okay. Now, I probably have a truce with him, which sucks. But anyway, I'm okay with that. I wonder if I can declare independence. Sorry, I'm obsessive about filling my counselors. Okay. So, I probably could, right? Well, let's just make sure I don't have a truce with him. Allied to him. Oh, no, that's France. Kingdom of France. Okay. So this could be nice, given that how broken up everything is. Because I still need to swoop in there and take the Duchy of Aquitaine. So, let's see. Factions against your liege. I can create an independence faction. Okay. Me. And I can just press him. Right? Boom. And then he should go to war with me. And, there you go. Now, I mean, I should still have allies, right? I can Lotharingia, Jerusalem. Not that I need it. I'm pretty sure I can totally wave on this guy anyway. Yeah, that's not going to be too much of a problem. Okay, so it's a strange way of getting here, but we're here. And so the next thing, what I'm going to try to do now is kill off my son, because Edward the Black Prince, who's my current heir, should have a son named Richard at this point, but he doesn't. So, whatever. He's getting kind of old. So, Edward the Black Prince should have died. I don't think it was in battle, but it was during the war. So, we're going to go ahead and try and use him to capture the... Well, we got to fight this independence war first. Oh, and you know what? I can't take the Duchy of Aquitaine. Well, I couldn't have anyway because it was owned by my liege. Okay, so we're going to fight a weird way of doing the 100 Years' War, but we are in our second portion of war with France. 2 of 3. We're going to do a third one before we end this video and the Crusader Kings series. So I think we cleaned it up pretty well here. We're moving forward through the 100 Years' War, and I just succeeded in conquest of Aquitaine, as well as capturing the where Calais is. It's super historically accurate. This was done with the assistance of the Black Prince. Historically accurate. My son, Edward. Where's he at? Here he is. Oh, he's got... Good. A son. Excellent. All right. So this lets us talk about this. Duh. So first of all, we're going to rename this kid Richard. And he will be... Richard, if he lives, Richard II. And historically what happened was the Black Prince died before, well, before his son, but also before his father. And so my heir is theoretically should, and so I'd love to be able to make that happen, but, you know, I'm trying, it's not working. My heir should die before me, and at which point succession would fall to the kid, which it is true. Okay, so we've got this all staged up to be historically accurate. Whether we can, you know, make it happen or not is another matter. During this time, the House of Lancaster was the regent over over Richard II, and it was during this time that the powerful houses began to really sort of manipulate. Well, began. I mean, they've been doing it forever, right? They would really manipulate the king and kind of sidelined him off. So we're gonna, you know what? Maybe I'll just tell his story now because I don't think we're gonna really get into it all that much. We got to get this video wrapped up here. What happened was they manipulated and used Richard II, sidelined him, kind of exiled him at a certain point, and then finally, when he came to age, he famously asked all his counselors, "How old am I?" Like in the middle of a council meeting, just, yeah, hey, here's a question. How old am I? And they're like, "Oh, you're 23, Your Majesty." And then he was like, boom, and slams his face down on the ground. I was like, well, then I'm going to start taking this. So he then took control of the kingdom. And he was very much a popular king in the beginning. And he went from being a popular king loved by the people to a tyrant. And what happened was he was usurped by this guy. Let's do a little family tree. The Edward III had a son named John of Gaunt, as he was known, and John had an heir, Henry, who would be Henry IV. So I'm gonna really try and set up the usurpation of Henry Bolingbroke as best as I can. I'm sure it's all gonna fall apart, but I'm setting this up by giving Lancaster increasingly large lands so that he becomes my most powerful vassal. He might already be my most powerful vassal. Where is he? Prince John. Okay, realm size 10. So, you know, he's getting up there. He's not powerful in terms of his levy size. Curious to see why he's not ranked up here at the top. Maybe it's just by levy size or tax size. Maybe I'll start like funding his buildings and stuff like that. So with the goal being that hopefully he will try and usurp, so that the rights to the kingdom will pass down to his son, Henry IV, and that his son will try and usurp my grandson. Man, that would be as historically accurate as it is super cool. Let's try. Surprisingly, we're well on the way to actually making this happen. Edward, my heir, Edward IV, the Black Prince, did just die in his sleep. He has a son, Richard II, which is super historically accurate, yay, who's now also my heir. Edward III is still, that's me, is still alive. And Richard is the heir. And my cat died, so that sucks. And also, and I'm about to die. Okay, cool. This is going exactly the way I want it to go. So, also, my son, John, historically known as John of Gaunt, he's dead already, which is not historically accurate. And this gal's trying to steal my throne for the millionth time. Anyway, who has a son, Henry IV, which is exactly what we are trying to do. So, does he have a claim on the kingdoms? Yes, he does. And so, if I can die, Richard become the heir, and then Henry IV try to take over the crown, that would be literally what happened in history. And I would die. Okay, cool. I would die, literally die of historical precedence. Okay. And so now Richard II is the king. Okay. I think he became king a bit younger than this. And so, okay, we've got a regent. Who's my regent? It should have been John of Gaunt. It should have been John of Lancaster. So, kind of screwed that one up. But let's see how this is going to go. We might get pretty close to history, which is going to be pretty cool. The year is 1415, and we're going to have one final military conflict with France as part of the 100 Years' War, waged by, it should be King Henry V, but it's really King Henry IV. We weren't able to keep Henry alive at all, and this guy doesn't have kids at all, even yet. Anyway, so we're going to wage war with France as King Henry V, and it's worth saying that King Henry V was really one of the most powerful and beloved English kings throughout all of history. He had many great qualities. He was admired through the ages. Shakespeare even wrote an entire play about him. But we're going to try and simulate the Battle of Agincourt, which was a super historical, super amazing victory for the English. And Sir Winston Churchill wrote of that, claiming that it was the most heroic of all land battles that England has ever fought. So that is something to keep up with. Once again, England's longbowmen and made a huge splash there. Now you can actually watch this on Netflix, the movie The King, starring Timothée Chalamet. Kind of really not impressed with the movie, to be honest. It wasn't really all that great. The battle wasn't even really all that great. But anyway, I believe it took place in this area here, though there is no village or anything like that of Agincourt. I don't even know if we're going to be able to fight here. If we can, that'd be great. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get this war started and see how it turns out. I did not realize he had that much military power. I guess we have a lot too. But so we're going to try and take as much as we can. And really, Henry V ended up conquering a significant amount of northern France. So we're going to try that now. Let's go. Okay, with victory in hand, we get to enforce our demands, capture a significant portion of northern France, which is historically accurate. In addition to that, an amazing, incredible peace treaty was signed by Henry V, where he basically, I don't know about demanded or negotiated or talked into the King of France agreed to name Henry's heir as the next King of France. So that was pretty huge. Anyway, this is what England is looking like now. Pretty accurate around this time, around the time of Henry V's conquests. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the 100 Years' War. Now, as strong as England was in the 100 Years' War, they were considered the loser of it, because what would happen is they'd take territory and then it would blip, 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 blip. They'd just lose it. They'd lose it. So they could take it, but they couldn't hold it, which was really why they ended up losing the 100 Years' War. And we're going to close this segment by bringing up one final piece that led to their loss of the 100 Years' War, and that is in this area of Orleans was born a very, very famous figure in I don't know if she was born in 1429. But in 1429, we see the emergence of a single figure, Joan of Arc. A lowly French maid, she would ride bareback the horses of her father's visitors, and she claimed to have been visited by French saints, including Saint Michael himself, who gave her a mission to personally save France and see the French Dauphin crowned as king of France instead of Henry, or Henry's heir. So her story is surrounded by a bunch of miraculous events where, for example, she eventually made her way to the French court, and the Dauphin, in disguise, who heard she was coming, kind of mingled in the crowds, and she'd never seen him, but yet she walked right up to him, identified him as king, told him of her mission, asked him for his sword, described it in precise detail, revealed to him knowledge of state secrets that nobody else could have ever known. So basically, people were thinking like, wow, she really is from God. And everywhere she went, people followed her. She lifted the morale of Frenchmen who'd been beaten down. It's like they felt like England could not be defeated. But along comes this woman who seems to be sent from God, saying, no, God is going to help you restore France and beat the English. And so they rose from a place of complete despair. Now, unfortunately, as seems to be the tragedy of all great people who truly inspire, those who lived in her shadow quickly became jealous of her, and the church realized that she only served God and not their interests. The Orleanists, including the Dauphin, who she saved and saw crowned as king, saw that she served France, but not him. She was eventually, if you can believe it, sold to the English after being captured. They put her on trial as a heretic and burned her at the stake. While dying, she clutched 2 pieces of firewood that burned her in her hands, formed them into a shape of a cross, and cried Jesus as her last and final dying words. An English soldier standing by is reported to have said, "We are lost. We just killed a saint," and he was completely accurate. So that final tale brings us to an end to our Crusader King segment, and we will continue the story of England and its future colonies in America in Europa Universalis 4, and I hope you'll join me. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you there.